All right, thanks for clicking on another KM6 LYW radio video. Hey, we're going to talk about amateur radio and data modes. So if you're in amateur radio and data modes, you're going to want to stick around and check this out. We've also got a brand new release of the DigiPi. It's like the ultimate modem for your amateur radio. So we're going to talk about it next on KM6 LYW radio. So I don't do any editing, so here's the bumper music. So all right, welcome back to KM6 LYW radio. You know, we have a really low production value here, so we can pass the savings on to you. So that's our bumper music. Hey, before we get started, in all seriousness, I've got to thank the Patreons, patreon.com/KM6LAW radio. Thank you guys. This is a list of contributors that make all of this possible, the people that basically fund this development of this DigiPi. So I really appreciate it. So Fu, Brian, Carlton, Brad, I'm just going to scroll through quick here. Louis, Rocky, Mark, Chandler, Fallen Yoda, love the name. Still going through these. Peter, thank you guys. Thank you. Ziggy Zog, hey, I got your call sign on the Discord channel. Cool. And all the way through Gordon. Thank you guys. Patreon.com/KM6LYW radio. And I also noticed we're almost at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you could just click subscribe, push us over 1,000. I don't know what happens. I really don't. But it's just I don't know. It's a cool number to have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. How cool would that be? All right, so we're back to the DigiPi. This is a little device you see down here. Let me make myself a little smaller. Little guy you see down here, and this is just a Raspberry Pi Zero and a monitor. It's attached to an amateur radio over a USB cable. In fact, in this case, it is attached to the ICOM 705. Which I got a good deal used on this, so that's been a fun radio. In fact, I should probably get it on an APRS frequency here in the United States. That's 144.390. And this is probably going to make a lot of noise while we're playing with it. I don't know if you're going to hear it over the radio or not. So the DigiPi is receiving stations on the APRS frequency because I have Tnc and APRS iGate selected on the web server that's inside the DigiPi. So that's what it's doing. So this is the DigiPi connected to a USB radio. I'll turn this down a little bit. Now, if you have a traditional push-to-talk rig that doesn't have a USB port, you can build an audio card and a push-to-talk circuit. We've got a schematic for that. If you're kind of handy with a soldering iron, you can build one. It actually looks like a lot like this. It's a Raspberry Pi Zero, and then a stacking header would go on that, and then an audio card. This is an FE Pi from Bud. Bud's still shipping these. Thank you, Bud. Or you can get the Audio Injector Z as an audio hat because you're going to need an audio hat with your push-to-talk rig. And then, of course, an optional a little TFT screen, which is just cool. It just makes it fun. So I've got some display driver software that I wrote that makes shows you stations popping up on the DigiPi and other telemetry and status information showing up on that screen. All right, so that's how you kind of build a DigiPi. We've got a bunch of links for that. In fact, I'll go over those and put those in the notes on how to build one of these things. But in this case, it's a Raspberry Pi Zero 2 wireless. It's the new one. It's a lot faster, and it has a TFT screen stuck to it, and it's plugged into this amateur radio. So right now it's in Tnc mode on an APRS packet radio frequency. So what does that mean? So there's an APRS networks around there where radios can send text messages back and forth, report their location, things like that. The whole purpose of the DigiPi here is so you don't need to know Linux, you don't need to know programming, you don't need to know command line tools, you don't need all of that stuff. All you really need to operate this thing is a web browser, any web browser. Like here's a browser on my PC. You can do the exact same thing on your phone here. I'm just going to pull up DigiPi. There's a little web server inside that Raspberry Pi, and you can pull it up on your phone or your tablet. All you need is a web browser. See, here's the DigiPi interface on the phone, and you can operate all of the apps with these as well. So I'm just going to run through some of these modes here. Just slow me down if you see one you're interested in. There's a lot. In fact, this implements every data mode that I can think of. I think there's only a couple that are missing right now, like Whisper, and we can certainly add those. Again, so long as we can operate them all with a web browser, like in the field or in the shack, all you need is a cell phone and the DigiPi here, and everything is over Wi-Fi. Everything is over Bluetooth. Works just as well as on your home network as it does in the field. It becomes a hotspot that you can connect to with your Wi-Fi device. All right, so Tnc mode. So I'm just playing with my phone here. You can get an app called APRS Droid and just say start tracking. It'll connect to the DigiPi over Bluetooth, and there's usually a little light. There's a little Bluetooth icon that lights up here. That was kind of fun to implement. They'll let you know that your phone's attached to this thing. And at this point, I can send my location. I can turn the volume up so you can hear. I can just say send position. All right, sent my position. In fact, this little HT picked it up while I did that. And it can go back and forth like that. So this is the TNC. This isn't just for positioning over APRS. This is for text messaging between radios. So I'm going to go ahead and stop tracking there. And then APRS Digipeater is the next thing. This is so you can actually have a Digipeater and put it out in the middle of nowhere and have it digipeat packets on APRS. In which case, wow, that's loud. Um, I can use my HT here and send a packet, and it'll be and you'll see it being repeated by the DigiPi. So here comes a position packet, and it was repeated on my radio here. And I don't know if you can see my call sign there. It pops up as me, anyways. So that's the Digipeater on the DigiPi using that HT radio. Now you can also turn the volume down a little bit, become like a bulletin board system. And this is like old school AX.25. It implements all that, but you don't need to know all the implementation details. So now you can see the DigiPi is in AX.25 node mode. We've got a few frequencies here. In fact, I'm going to click on help because I can remember what they are. 145.730 is a packet radio frequency here in Northern California. 145.730. Where are you? 730. There you are. And we are in FM data mode. That's where we want to be. So I can go away from that. I can never remember all these frequencies. That's why I put the little help screen in there. So now we're in node mode. So at this point, what's interesting is we can click on the AX call jump off link here. And we can connect to another radio. There's a Digipeater that's really easy to hit. It doesn't have a bulletin board on it, but we can connect to it here. And again, all of this is happening in a web browser, right? Again, you don't need PuTTY or a terminal. You can see I'm now connected to a bulletin board or basically a Digipeater. I can do like a node long listing of nodes that have been heard recently. And the DigiPi is doing all of the talking and modulating and demodulating. This is really loud. I guess you can see the packets coming and going here. So anyways, I'm just going to say bye to this guy. So that's AX.25 networking. The DigiPi includes its own bulletin board system. So if you want to be a bulletin board, let me just close this. I'll click on AX.call again, and you can connect to your own node. Normally you do this over a radio, but I'm just going to say connect to your node, and you can log in with your call sign and your password, and you can see this is the bulletin board that people can log into through their radio. So this is an AX.25 node on NetROM if you want to know the details about that. I actually compiled some of the old Infocom games. Remember like Zork and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, those text adventure games? I put them on here so you can actually play Zork. So here you're standing in an open field west of a White House. There's a small, open mailbox, and you can play this over the radio. That's what's cool about this bulletin board. Anyways, I'm gonna say quit here. Yeah, we're gonna leave, and then this is our bulletin board on the DigiPi. So anyone on 145.730 that has a AX call client or an AX.25 client, like maybe LinPack or something like that, can connect to your bulletin board and chat with the users and even play these games. So I'm just gonna say bye, disconnect from my bulletin board, and that is the AX.25 data mode on the DigiPi. All right, so what about like email? Yeah, we can do that too. So you might have heard of WinLink email. This is like a global network of radios. I'll turn this down again. You can be an email server on VHF or HF. All of the software is pre-configured when you first initialize it. In fact, we might want to click on initialize down here. So when you first get the DigiPi, you fill out this form and you put all of your information in here. And this is where you put your WinLink password, your WinLink account, your position, your rig type and stuff. So that's the initialize screen. I probably should have covered that earlier. But back to the main web page on the DigiPi. Well, let's make ourselves I don't know. Let's send or receive email. So we got the AX.25 network stack up in green here. So let's start the PAT email client. So I click on PAT. That's on now. And then down here we're going to do one of these little launch links and click on PAT email. So here we are. This is the email box. There's inbox, outbox, sent, actions. You can connect, you can compose. I'm just gonna, on compose, you can enter any email address you want here. So, foo@bar.com, or you can also put in a call sign KM6LYW and say test email and say, hey, I'm talking to myself. All right, and then I can say post, right? And then we want to do connect, and this is going to go ahead and send that email. So I've got some aliases already set up here for that. And we're on 145.730 still. I think I can use that Digipeater to route through to a node on that frequency that's in what's in the valley in California. So we're going to go through a Digipeater to K6SOL-10, and we are on the proper frequency. So I'm just going to say connect, and I can turn the volume up if you guys want to hear it. But you can see down at the bottom here, what the status is. You can see it's connected to K6SOL-10 via MTV-NOD. That's the Digipeater. And this is the WinLink login negotiation process. Hopefully I don't have a bunch of big emails coming down. I don't know. Actually, it's sending checksum of the one we just composed a second ago, and it's sending like crazy. You can see the packets going back and forth, and you can hear them, I think, probably through my microphone. I don't know. It's got a little quiet. Sometimes there's a weak link between the Digi and the other guy. I don't know if we want to go through the whole process of sending an email. It's going back and forth. It takes a lot longer through the Digi. Normally you just connect peer-to-peer, but I can't seem to hit K6SOL-10 directly. I'm in Northern California, a lot of mountains. It is transmitting it now, so it accepted the checksum. Yeah, actually, I just paused it, just this video just for a second, but it immediately completed. So that went through to my call sign and a fictitious email address. But that email would come through, on my email device. I can email anyone in the world from anywhere in the world, including Antarctica if you're using an HF radio. So all of this works on that. So that is email using this ICOM 705 and the DigiPi. The RDOT modem allows you to do the exact same thing over HF frequencies. The one thing this doesn't implement is VARA FM. A lot of people ask for VARA. That's proprietary software. This is going to be a completely open source project here, so we're not using any proprietary software. In fact, I don't know if VARA runs on the Raspberry Pi. If it does, let me know. But anyways, the closed source and proprietary software, in my opinion, is kind of a genetic dead end, and I really want to encourage the development and promote the art of amateur radio here as far as the community is concerned. All right, so those are the basic packet modes that the DigiPi implements. So a lot of people, I'm going to turn all of this stuff off here. The DigiPi is basically in no mode, blank screen mode. Also, what I'm going to do is hook up the HF antenna. This big fat guy over here is my HF antenna hooked up to a fan dipole in the backyard. It's kind of low right now, just on account of the wind. I like to lower it. So I'm going to switch over to that antenna, and I'm going to put it back in VFO mode, and I'm going to go to an HF frequency. Now we're in upper sideband digital. Aha, looking cool. So let's talk about the GUI apps, the ultra low signal to noise ratio app. So this does FT8, slow scan television, FLDigi, and JS8 call. It does all of those. I promised myself I could get through like one of these a minute. So I'm going to start FT8 right here. I just click on the on button, and FT8 is now running. And then I'm going to click on FT8, the launch link down here, which will open FT8 in the virtual display that's inside of this Raspberry Pi. So again, this is headless, which means no monitor, no keyboard, none of that action. Let me make this a reasonable size here. I can in this browser I can hold down the control key and the mouse wheel, and that'll make it some different sizes. So we are on 7.074. I'm just looking at the video. We can change our frequency here. We're already on 40 meters. I can actually just enable CX, and it's going to call CQ. I'm going to set the power at about 77%, and we are transmitting. You hear it? That's our signal going out on FT8. Call in CQ. You know what's cool, and what a lot of people don't know about is Psk Reporter. It's Pskreporter.info, and you can click on Map Display, and you will actually see. In fact, this was that last packet I just sent. You can see how far that packet got. So it got all the way across, halfway across the United States. And if I could go again, you can see a few more stations came in. In fact, if you look at the last, 24 hours I was playing with this, you can see how far this gets out on this exact setup that you see here. Into Japan, Africa, Alaska, and these are on 3 different bands here that I'm supporting on this radio. So that is FT8 in a nutshell. I don't know if anyone is, no one's responded to my CQ. I think there's only been one video where I've done FT8 and someone actually responded, and we got a little QSO going, at least on FT8. But again, this is a QRP radio. It's 10 watts, right? So this is FT8 running on the DigiPi in a web browser. What I also want to mention is you can do the exact same thing in a web browser on your phone. I just basically clicked on the FT8 launch link there, and then we got FT8 on our cell phone. You can click on things, do whatever you do in FT8. Additionally, I wanted to mention that if you have a VNC client, it's a little more ergonomic. So I'm doing FT8 on my phone here. Hopefully you can see this. And it scrolls around. A VNC client actually works. It's more ergonomic. You can scroll around a little easier. But again, the premise here is the DigiPi only needs a web browser and some sort of Wi-Fi device to access. So I can close that if it'll let me. VNC client on your phone accessing the DigiPi, again, all over Wi-Fi. So I am going to go ahead and close this, and we'll close Pat and that. And let's move on to something else like JS8 Call. This is brand new on the DigiPi, JS8 Call. Now, it couldn't run on the older Raspberry Pi Zeros. It just didn't have enough horsepower. But the Raspberry Pi Zero 2 wireless, the newer Raspberry Pi Zero, version 2, this one runs FT8 just fine. In fact, I'm sorry, not FT8, JS8 Call. So I'm going to click on the JS8 Call launch link here, and we're going to see a JS8 Call pop up here. And there we are in JS8 call mode. I'm going to say control frequency. I don't know. We're still on 40 meters, so 7078. You can see it changed the frequency on the radio. You can see the DigiPi is actually displaying JS8 call and the URL you should go to access, this JS8 call virtual display that's inside the DigiPi. I get this guy lined up good. All right, so this is JS8 call. I honestly don't know a lot about it. I mean, I can send a heartbeat out. I don't know if people are going to respond or not. All right, we're sending a heartbeat out at 78%, which is really only like 7.8 watts. It's not a lot of power. So I sent the heartbeat out, sending 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Hopefully I'm not stomping on anyone. And here comes the next packet frame. Also, time is important for these time-based network protocols. So this actually will get time from the GPS in your radio, or if you have a GPS dongle, it will get the time from that from the GPS satellite. So you don't even need to orchestrate time. Let's see. I don't think I got any heartbeats back. Did I? Yeah, here they come. A bunch of people heard my heartbeat and responded. So, guys, if you're watching this KL7R, thank you for the heartbeat. I know it's automated. KD6XU, thank you for the heartbeat. So that's a JS8 call working on the DigiPi on QRP radio. How cool is that? In fact, I'm really kind of excited about getting into this. It's like FT8, only you get to talk. It's a lot more interactive. All right, that's JS8 call. So we're cruising through these. So DigiPi is kind of like or not DigiPi, FL Digi is the app that does all of the other modes. So I'm going to click on FL Digi. DigiPi knows to stop JS8 call and start FL Digi. And now FL Digi is going to be running in that virtual display. And you can see it has a green box to it. And then I just click on the FL Digi launch link. And FL Digi does all the other modes you can think of. Literally. I mean, we got all these op modes here. PSK, RTTY, Thor, Throb, some of the lesser known ones. WeatherFax is kind of cool. You can get WeatherFaxes. But PSK31 is probably one of my more favorite ones. And I can go up here and change the frequency to 7070, which is the PSK31 calling frequency. And we can watch the waterfall down here and see if anybody's talking. And I can talk here like, hey, I don't know, I can just say radio test, exclamation point, KM6LYW. And then I can just send that. And now it's sending. If you can hear that, it's really loud in here. But I just sent a message via PSK31 on using FL Digi. What's also cool is you can do CW too. So I can put this into CW mode and I don't know, switch over to a CW frequency. I don't see any CW guys. Where are you guys CW guys? So you don't even need to know CW to talk to someone who's using CW. You can just type out stuff and it will send it over Morse code and it'll match their speed. So this is FL Digi. That's the app for that, FL Digi. I can go ahead and close that. And lastly, and certainly not least, this is one of my more favorite ones. We've got Slow Scan Television. So I just clicked on Slow Scan TV here on the on button. And then I'm going to click on the SSTV takeoff link down here at the bottom. And as I'm sure you've predicted, you're going to see a slow scan television client happen in here. This is the calling frequency for SSTV is usually on 14230. Where we at? 14230. Let me actually dial it in. So you hear that? That's slow scan television, and we are receiving an image on SSTV. We've got something from N5 Uniform Romeo Lima coming down, and while he's, where we, no, that was just the end of his image. We'll see if he sends another one. So while we're waiting for an image, we can load. I don't know what we can load here. I don't know the Atari symbol. I don't know. We got Beaker. Let's load Beaker. There's Beaker, and we can make we can make our own image here and just use a CQ test CQ screen. I want to say this is to CQ, and you can put the operator, and I can put I don't know, radio test, and then my call sign at the bottom, and it's basically we're making our image, and let's get it off Beaker's eyeballs there. I can say testing. So anyways, that's our image. Someone just got on the frequency. You can see them here in the waterfall. So let's see what their image looks like coming down. Ooh, lots of black. Lots of black coming down in slow scan television today. So let's see what this guy says. It looks like he's exchanging images with someone else. So he 2KO3D from N5 URL. He's in New Mexico. I'm in California, so I'm reading him. So anyways, I could transmit this image if the frequency wasn't in use just by pressing play here, and we would send Beaker out on slow scan television on 14.230. I'm going to turn that down because it's kind of intense. All right, so I think we went through all of the modes on the DigiPi. This is just kind of scratching the surface of it. The important thing here is this is DigiPi version 1.6 is out. It's a brand new operating system based on Debian Bullseye. All of the apps have been updated. You can see all the app versions hopefully when I open those. There's additional little features like there's a shell. Like sometimes you just want to get a command prompt on your Raspberry Pi if you're really into Linux stuff. And there's actually a shell that opens in your web browser, and you can log in as Pi, and the password is Raspberry by default. I think I got it wrong. Pi, Raspberry, and then we're in, and we can do. Then we had a Linux command prompt. Everything that we might want to mess with. Sometimes you want to use also mixer or something to change volumes or something, you can hack on it from right here. By default, the Raspberry Pi is read only, so you can just turn it off. You don't have to shut it down. So every time you turn it on, it's always exactly the same way you left it. So when you go out to the field, you know it's not going to be screwed up. You're not going to have an SD card failure or anything like that. So that's the shell. There's different logging facilities that are on here now that weren't on here before. So you can see the actual Direwolf log here if you're into packet radio. This was me when I was messing with Direwolf doing the AX.25 stuff. So that's the packet log. And also, oh, yes, I want to leave. There's a system log where you can actually see the system and anything that might be failing or maybe giving error messages. Maybe a service isn't starting for some reason. The system log will give you a good idea as to what maybe the problem is there. So you can see my systemd stuff. All of these surfaces use systemd in the background for interdependencies. So I think we did it. We got through all of this stuff. I don't know. We got 23 minutes. You know, I always target 15 minutes for these. And YouTube always says you guys have a short attention span. So I try and make these a little bit shorter. But I'm pretty excited about DigiPi version 1.6. You're looking at it right now. The info that you want to take away from this, you can get it. Where can you get it? You can get it Kraiger.org/DigiPi. That's what we're displaying right now. Kraiger, Kraiger.org/DigiPi. And there's a bunch of, there's a community behind this now. Thank you. And not just the Patreon folks, but everyone's helping out. There is if you're a patron, you get access to this. So even $1 gets you access to this. And remember, $1 is not even the tax on the SD card, right? So if you can just contribute $1, you'll be plugged into the community. The more is always better, and everything helps. I go through a lot of hardware here trying to make this stuff work, so I really appreciate it. We have a Google group out there, so it's DigiPi Google group, and we're having conversations there about the DigiPi. We've also got a Discord link for DigiPi. I should probably be zooming this in a little bit. So how many people we've got? The 30, maybe 40 people hanging out on Discord. In fact, what I'd like to do is maybe have Discord live for our next video, so you guys we can interact a little bit more and do these live on YouTube. So maybe if I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll figure out how to do Discord and we can talk interactively on these. Additionally, we've got a groups.io forum. For DigiPi, that's the name of the forum. But we're going to walk away from this. We immediately hit the 100 user limit. It completely exceeded my expectations. And of course, they start charging. The first 100 users isn't a lot. But as you get more and more users, they really do start charging a lot of money. So that's where we're going with the Google group, if you want to hang out there. But honestly, the Discord stuff has been working out. It's really been interactive and a lot of fun. All right, so questions and comments down at the bottom. Hopefully my audio hasn't been too loud here. I really appreciate the support. This is DigiPi version 1.6 at krager.org/DigiPi. I think that's it. This is KM6LYW radio signing off. Station identification. You ever give your station ID like when you're on the phone? It's a habit, isn't it? All right, this is KM6LYW radio, and I am clear. Thanks a lot.